Hey guys, I want to talk with you a little bit today about something that I've observed about life that is hard to keep sight of, I think, sometimes, but it's something that I like to try to keep in the back of my mind, and I want to remind you of that today. And there's going to be a little bit of an evolution to get this message across. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story from my life, but this is just, I'm talking today about those times in your life when you're timid to do something and you kind of stand outside the circle, let's say, and as the title of the post is called, do you want to eat or do you not, right? So this is just kind of about learning to jump in and recognize and realize that at some point you're going to have to, take some action and get aggressive at some points and go after what it is that you want. That's really, this is just an analogy for pursuing things in life, whatever they are, whatever you want. I do believe that you're going to come across these junctures in the road where all of what I'm about to talk about here is going to present itself, and it's going to make a lot of sense. But let me just start with a little story that I wanted to share with you that really encapsulates the message quite well. Some years back, I was visiting some family in Italy, and a cousin of mine had taken me to some historic site. We were kind of out in the country. We were far from the normal tourist spots, but it was a touristy place still, and there was a lot of local Italians that seemed to want to visit this place. So anyway, it was a hot summer day, and we had hiked all around these old ruins and checked out some really neat stuff. And there was a point in time where we were getting quite thirsty, and we wanted to have a drink of water. So there was an old drinking fountain, like a really neat, one of these like old ancient Roman aqueduct fed little fountains, like kind of in the middle of this like courtyard thing where everybody was drinking. So we spotted this, and we're dying of thirst, and we approached this fountain, and it was an interesting thing because the fountain was just kind of like this circular, like small thing in the middle of this area, and there was no clear-cut like queue, let's say, like no single file line like leading up to this thing for people that wanted to have a drink out of it. So it was just this huddle or this crowd that was just completely encircling this little fountain there. So we approached the thing, and we're just kind of watching and waiting, and I didn't want to be rude and like butt in on anybody, but there was just so many people like trying to get a drink this day. And it was funny because I walked up to the thing, and I'm like, how the heck am I going to, get in there with all these people around there? And there's no order here. And like nobody's like, seems to be like respecting the fact that other people are waiting. They're just kind of jumping in and going for it. And it was really funny because my cousin, she, her being a local, she knew the game here. Her knew the solution to this problem, but she's watching me like sitting there like trying to be polite and like not jumping in and trying to have a drink of water. And it was really funny after a few minutes of her just realizing my inactivity or my lack of action. She said, Mike, do you want a drink or do you not? I mean, you won't drink if you don't just jump in there and butt in at some point and go for it, kind of thing. And this was like, it was just such an interesting moment looking back on that, because right at that very second, I was just thinking about life stuff and all these things I like to talk about with you guys. But it was profound, and she was absolutely right. And the other example that I think of a lot also is like if you imagine like a pack of wolves or something, and there's been a kill, and there's this dead animal kind of in the middle of these these wild animals that are just starving for food because it's all about survival and everything. Think about the manner in which they feed and they eat. And if there's, the kind of the weaker, less brave ones, you might say, just kind of stand outside the pack. They don't like jump in there and, try to take a bite of the flesh themselves, and they don't eat. So it's like both of these examples, the water fountain, the pack of wolves, and as this relates to you and your life, it's just, I think, very profound, because how many times in life do we find ourselves with that sort of timid mindset? Like we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to butt in. We don't want to like exert ourselves, let's say. And I'm not saying like you need to go out there and cut people down and hurt people to accomplish things that you want. But I am saying there's going to be a lot of times in your life where you're kind of sitting outside the circle in the exact same fashion of what I just described. And there's going to come a point where like if you want to eat, like you're going to have to jump in there and do something about it. You're going to have to take action. You're going to have to get a little brave. You're going to have to butt in. You're going to have to do something. So I just want you to think about your your life and whatever it is that you're working on right now, what you're going through, maybe experiences from your past, and think about those times when you were a little too timid and you didn't jump in, but at the end of the day, you probably didn't eat because of it. And it's like, that's something that's always going through my mind, pretty much like every day when I go out there into the world. I do think about this kind of stuff, and it's just like saying it over and over again to myself in my mind. It's like, well, do you want to eat or do you not? Are you going to take action or are you going to not? Are you going to do something about these things or are you not? And it's something profound. I like to think of this one a lot, actually, strangely enough. Like, I know I touch on dating and pursuing people, and of course I speak from a man's perspective, and I've talked a little bit about approaching women just in your average everyday, like normal life setting sort of stuff. And I always think about this, like when I'm out there walking around and I observe somebody that I think I might want to talk to or might want to approach, it's like that is one of the thoughts that's going through my mind in that moment, where we all have those moments where you're like, you get a little anxious and you're like, should I try to strike up a conversation or should I not? And I'm a human being. I still have those thoughts go through my mind, even though I've learned to become good at seizing the moment in these sorts of cases. But like I just said, it's like that is part of what's going through my mind in that moment. I'm just saying to myself, like, well, do you want to eat or do you not? Do you want to go out and date other women? Do you want to meet new people? Do you want to expose yourself, to trying to find love and all this kind of stuff? It's like, do you want that or not? Because if you want that, you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to be that wolf and jump in and try to take a bite of the flesh. You're going to have to be me in Italy there and throw some elbows and get in there and get a drink of water. Because otherwise, the dead carcass in the wolf scenario is not going to walk up to you and put its meat in your mouth, and the drinking fountain in Italy is not going to uproot itself out of the ground and walk over to me and try to give me a drink of water. So that's the way life works, guys. You've got to realize these moments where what I'm talking about presents itself and is relevant. And I hope at this point in the talk, the message is sinking in that, yes, you're going to have to take some action and you're going to have to get in there. And I hope this sticks with you. And I hope this question is one that you'll pose to yourself in your mind, when you're at that point in time where you're like, should I do something? Should I not? I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to whatever. You're standing outside the circle. It's like I said, do you want to eat or do you not? Just, hope that sticks with you. So, okay, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.